Hello to all of the beautiful souls joining us today, and welcome to the Divinely Guided podcast. We're so excited to have you. We are your hosts. My name is Soul.
And my name is Pat. Our purpose is to bring perspective and wisdom so you can produce positive results in your life. You are your own guru, okay? And here we believe no mission is too big.
We are so happy to have you along the ride for this magical journey. And now it is time to get buckled up and dive into this week's powerful episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Divinely Guided podcast. I am so over the moon, beaming, radiating to introduce you to not only a client of mine, but a really dear friend. Her name is Eva Payne. She is a life strategist and spiritual seeker. And when I say she is one of the most curious people I know, this woman constantly asks, what is a better way? How can we empower humans? I know that there's something that we can make this better. Like, what do the humans need? She's incredibly curious. Not only is she a mother to 6 incredible human beings, she also holds a master's of science in leadership and management. She studied at Salt City Psychedelic and Therapy Research Program. She served as the founder and executive director of Project Kindle, which is a nonprofit that serves youth that are impacted by HIV and AIDS. She's designed, run, and implemented not only large summer camps, but retreats for over 20 years. She's the author of not one, but 2 books, The Flow Life Funnel and The Magic in Flow. She's also a fellow podcaster. She has her own podcast, Ideas to Human Better. And now she's a program creator of the Flow Life Retreat, which uses plant medicine to help people break through their traumas, find their flow, heal, and embody their wholeness. I've had the privilege to personally connect with Eva on so many different levels, but also psychically. And I can tell you, this woman is not human, okay? She's not from here. And I do plan on actually attending one of her retreats this fall. So she is a force for good on this planet. She embodies unconditional love. And I'm so honored to introduce her to the rest of you. So Eva, thank you so much for being with us. Hello and welcome.
Welcome.
Hello. Thank you both for having me. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here and spend time with you and your listeners and viewers. So thank you.
I would love to just open the floor up to you. There's so much that we just shared about your accolades and what you've done, but I want people to understand more of who you are. Because you're not only a badass mom, but you also have such a heart for service. And I'm like, how do you balance it all? Like, who are you? And yeah, wherever you want to begin on that.
It's a really big question when someone says, like, who are you?
Yeah.
Because we identify ourselves in the world by the stuff, by the resumes, but that's not really who we are. We are so much more than the identities that we claim, and those identities shift throughout our lives. So going from like high school to college, or college to in the world, or high school to in the world, or from being single to being in a relationship, having kids, picking up job titles and all of that. So, I mean, ultimately, I'm a curious creator. That is who I am.
I would agree with that.
I am like, what are we doing here? What's it for? Why? And how do we do it better? Like, that is my mission and human transformation. When I had a gal at one of my last retreats, and she's like, your whole life is about transformation. I'm like, yes, it is. Whether it's the summer camps for kids impacted by HIV and AIDS and seeing them come out of these shells, or hosting these retreats now where I get to work with adults and seeing them come out of their shells and realize that this is just a big game. And how do we want to show up? And that these are just avatars. They're literally avatars, yes. Like playing, I don't know, whatever, some of those video games out there. You get to design. What does your hair look like? What do your nails look like? What does your body look like? How do you feel? What is your doingness? And so I'm just trying to figure out how to do it better for myself, and then how to help others do it better for themselves. And when I look out into nature and I see everything has rhyme and reason and flow, I think, what is wrong with humanity? Like, where have we lost our way? Why are we not in alignment? Why is our spirit not in alignment with our bodies, with our doingness? And how do we move down that path better? How do we come home to ourselves and accept what is, and also dream really big in a co-collaborative way? So, I don't know. That's more about me, I guess.
Wow, that's incredible. And I think having something like having these summer camps for kids who are impacted by like HIV and AIDS, like that in and of itself is such a transformation because we look at our history, right? This was something that was so shunned, like shamed and shunned, and like, people who had these diseases felt like their life was completely over when they got this
Yeah.
diagnosis. I mean, it was literally killing people. And to now have like a summer camp where kids can go and like feel safe and feel like there's a place for them to express and to feel supported is just honestly groundbreaking. And also like it's Pride Month, so I'm like feeling the energy of that and like wow, like how much have we shifted as a society? And I'm so curious for you, like that is such a large undertaking, and I'm sure it's something where you had challenges and difficulties like bringing this vision to life. So I'm so curious, like how did this first come up? Like how did you decide like this is what I want to do? And what was that process like of like having the vision
Mhm.
and then now bringing it into life?
Beautiful question. And this is what creating a life lived in flow is about. So it's more than flow states. And when I was 21, I had no idea. I was just following my intuition. I was working at a radio station and I loved going to summer camp. And HIV and AIDS just kept coming up in my awareness. I'd hear a teacher talking about it. I knew exactly where I was in high school when Magic Johnson came out with his press conference and saying he was HIV positive, and that moment landed on me a little different. So I think our callings, whether we chose it or it chose us, or there's some mutual co-connection between them, the signs are all around us. It's, do we choose to listen to them? So I'm sitting at this radio station. I'm having this conflict of interest in this profession because I'm being told, you need to market this, you need to sell this, because the sales team just sold this product and you're now on this morning show, so here you go. And I thought, I don't want to sell things to people that I don't believe in, that I don't trust, that maybe I'm not 100% sold on myself. And so I could see that whole industry in such a micro way. Really, I don't know, it didn't resonate with me. There was something about it. So I just went to the universe. Okay, well, so what am I supposed to do? Because I just spent 4 years studying this in school, and I don't know that this is my profession. This is where I'm going to spend my time. And start a summer camp, start a summer camp, start a summer camp just kept coming up for me. And I thought, I don't know anything about starting a summer camp or a nonprofit. Like, I've been to them a lot, but I don't know the first thing about it, but it wouldn't leave me alone. I think when those ideas are meant for you, they keep coming up over and over. And it's my acronym for FLOW, following life's opportunities wholeheartedly. The opportunity presents itself, and do you choose in? And so this opportunity came to me, this idea. Eva, start a summer camp for kids impacted by HIV and AIDS. There are very few services in the Midwest. I went to school in Nebraska, and that were really targeting young people. And so I thought, there's a need. Why don't I fill it? So I called my dad and I said, do you think I'm crazy? What if I start a nonprofit? He said, I think you can do it, but you have a lot to learn. So I went to Barnes and Noble and I bought a book, How to Start a Nonprofit. And I spent 1 year at Kinko's and on a typewriter. It was an electric typewriter, so I felt very advanced. But I just created the program. I mean, I went to work and school and I did that. I didn't watch TV. I wasn't distracted by a phone. They were barely even out at that time. This was 1998. And I spent 1 year dreaming of this. I could see the end before I even started. And I think that's part of it. When that vision grabs you of something that you want to create, you can see it. It is already happened. It is already manifested when you put your heart onto it. Now it's just the path you're going to go down, and being open to it molding along the way. So it wasn't like I saw it so crystal clear and my vision was the only vision and it had to go the way I thought. It was really about this co-collaboration with creativity, that which lives outside of us, and what other humans might start to feel drawn into this cause. Who's signing up? Who are the staff? What are their gifts? What are their abilities? What can they bring to the table? And as I was open to that process, magic unfolded, synchronicities started happening. And even though I was totally afraid and unsure, here were parents who were sending me their kids. Money was coming in because we paid for everything for those kids to come. It was divinely guided is all I can say. And all along the way. And even, I mean, there were crazy moments along this journey where I'd be $10,000 shy. My camp starts in a week. And I'm like in my closet crying, going, universe, I have done everything I know how to do. And I'm just leaving it at your feet. Like, I don't know what else I can do as a human. I've taken every action item I can take. The next day I go into work and there is a voicemail from a bar in Palm Springs, an hour and a half away from me, that's like, we raised $10,020 and can you come pick it up on Wednesday? I was like, yes.
Holy
yes, I
shit.
Like that over and over. I would call them Kindle miracles. The nonprofit was Project Kindle, and Kindle miracles is what I would call them. Like, when you are in the service of your fellow man, the universe conspires with you. When you are filling a need in the world, the universe is like, I see that you are coming from this heart place and I'm going to work with you. You just have to be flexible and open to what that looks like. And when you feel those resistant moments, it's just asking you to, like, can you go around? Can you go through? Can you go under? Is there some other way? Is there it's like clay that you're molding that never gets hard. It's always pliable. So that's kind of the journey. I just went with it.
That is so iconic. I'm like, ah! But also, I didn't know that on a personal basis. And I'm like, whoa. And I can't imagine, you were, how old, 21, I think you said?
21,
Oh
yeah.
my, you know what 21-year-olds are doing now? Like,
you're an icon and a legend.
no, but thank you for following that. I wanted to ask you too, like, what, because you talked about like being in flow, getting the nudges, like opening wholeheartedly and following this path. What do you find hinders us from flow? Or what do you find, even, I know you run psychedelic retreats, I want to dive into that too, but what do you find on a simpler basis hinders us from that flow?
Okay, so off the top of my head, I'm going to say our programming. I'm going to say our traumas, and a lack of belief and self-awareness, a lack of self-leadership. Okay, so the programs. We have a lot of systems that are very messed up, that do not serve humanity. I'm not sure any of our systems out there right now are really in favor of human evolution. Our food systems, our political systems, our education systems, our medical systems, all of them. I mean, I'm not, honestly, are there any that you're like, that's working really well? That is evolving humanity. Like, way to co-collaborate, honestly. So I think that's part of it. Okay, I think our own traumas, because we're not supported, because we're not told this human existence is hard. It's not easy to be a human. So instead of focusing on algebra 2, how about conflict resolution? How about how to be a good human? How about how to deal with challenges in life? Like, where's the social emotional learning? We don't have that. So just layers upon layers upon layers are built. And then we also don't look at the human and say, who are you inside? I have 6 kids. I can tell you they are all very different. It does not matter that these 2 people got together, their DNA mixed and went into this cell and, you know, zygote thing. And like, here's this human. There's a spirit. There is a consciousness. There is a blueprint that got merged with this body. And we are here to figure out, can these 2 things live in harmony and with everyone else? And when you don't look at that person, yourself or your children or your friends, and say, who are you in there? What wants to be created? What are your gifts? What are your talents? What are your interests? Instead of saying, here's the program, fit in this box. So I think that's part of it too, is we don't look at the individual and say, what is self-leadership? Like, who are you really inside? And let's educate to that. Let's bring that out. Who cares about the things you're not good at? If you're not good at math, you're probably going to outsource that in life somewhere. That's not your gift. Let that be someone else's gift. If you're not this or that, it's okay. Why do we have to try to be something that we're not? How about we just be who we are? And we just don't look for that in ourselves enough. And so I think when we get the thing about psychedelics is they help us to remove those layers, and they help us to come home to our wholeness. So we come here whole, and then life happens, and then we're stuck in a system that doesn't support the life that's happening. And so of course we're all totally out of whack. We're not living in flow. And that's first and foremost. Before we can create better systems, we have to come home to ourselves. We have to know who we are. We have to love ourselves. We have to have that self-leadership. We are our own gurus. We don't need someone else to tell us how to live and how to be. We know if we're being really honest with ourselves. And when you don't know, that's when you go into a journey. That's when you do this self-reflection, this self-leadership work to say, okay, who am I? Outside of the labels, outside of the identities. Those will change because life happens. You'll get divorced. You'll break up with someone. Your friend group will change. Your interests will change. You will evolve constantly. We are constantly going through this transformation of the self and evolution. And that's the gift that this life is like, I want us to look back at the end and say, I have no regrets. I would do that whole thing over again. I choose in, even if I had to repeat every single footstep. If you get to the end and you're like, thank God it's over, I don't know. Maybe you missed something along the way.
Whew. I'm like, yeah, that was so powerful. Yep, I definitely agree with that. And I think too, speaking at the topic of psychedelics, I've shared with both of you. Obviously, Soul was doing this with me, but we had a plant medicine moment where both of us, I think, saw beyond all of the labels and constructs of society and all the things. And I remember distinctly feeling none of this matters. Literally nothing matters. But at the same time, everything mattered. Everything mattered. Everything mattered. And I don't know, I find it so funny because there was a lot that I had to process in my own life, and my life drastically changed after that. But just like you said, when you look back, do you have regrets? Do you feel like, yes, I chose in, yes, I decided to expand, and maybe I didn't know the path ahead of me, but I took the next step and the step after that, and I was just ready for whatever came my way. So, yes. Wow,
Yeah.
Woman, you're not human.
Take the most loving next step. That's it. We don't have to see 50 feet ahead of us. Just one.
Yeah.
Just one. And what's the most loving next step you can take for yourself? We're all on a different spectrum of this journey, and it's okay wherever you're at is exactly where you're meant to be. There are no accidents. So it's just, what is the most loving next step you can take for yourself? And you just keep doing that day after day, and you'll get there. Wherever there is, I don't even know if there is a there. At the end of the day, like I am unsure about everything, and then I feel like I know things, but I really don't know things. So I'm open to always new information. Like, what else can I learn? Well, that makes more sense. Take that off the shelf and bring that in. I think when we can live that way, that's my acronym for love. Live open, value everything. Open to all of it. And then what's the value in this? Let me keep that. Does that resonate with me? If this doesn't, let me put it on the shelf or take it out completely. So being fluid with the information that's here, and really just being open with who you are and with what your path is, instead of thinking you have to have it all figured out. Trust me, you will. The most divine path is not even knowing where you're going, and it's 100% in love and faith. And that's hard. It's hard to do as humans. We're not taught how to do that. So we have to teach ourselves. to trust the process.
Yeah. As you were like sharing that moment where you're like in your closet crying, you're just like, universe, help me. It's like what I kept hearing was like just that surrender that we're so often so afraid of. And even you talking about the school system and like, like everyone feels like they have to learn math, everyone feels like they have to do this, and I just kept getting this energy of like fight or flight survival. It's like we're taught we have to be so self-sufficient out of fear, right? It's like this fear programming that's so deeply rooted in us, like no, we have to know everything because what if this, what if that, like the unknown is something we're taught to be so deeply afraid of. And something I've really been experiencing in my life right now is like this deep surrender. Like, I'm currently back home with my family, which was so unexpected. My mom has a very rare form of dementia. She's 55, like she's very young. And this is not how I saw like my life panning out. When I first found out and I felt the call to come back home, it was like so terrifying because I was like, I didn't plan for this. This is not how I saw my life going. This is not what I expected. I just moved to Austin. Like I was finding my people, but I couldn't ignore the call. I couldn't ignore that I felt drawn to the space. And I remember asking Pat to look into it, and she was like, I'm telling you, like, you're supposed to go. And it's so unknown. Like, I literally, like, people ask me this, like, what's your plan? I'm like, I have no fucking clue. I really don't know. I don't know how long I'm going to be here, like, what I'm supposed to be doing here. But, like, I just wake up and I'm like, what is right in front of me? Like, what is the thing that's right here? Because if I keep trying to blast off into the future and, like, go there, it's like I'm not actually living my life. And there's something that's so beautiful about like reminding ourselves of that. Like, yes, we can have these visions. If you have psychic gifts, like you can see the future, you can feel the future, but like be in the present moment. That's what it's all about. The future is not guaranteed. And yes, have dreams and have aspirations, but like your power is in the now. And I love that you're really preaching that and also showing how when things don't go as planned and you just fully surrender, like the universe does have your back and we don't have to be so afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. My acronym for fear is focusing energy on alternate realities. So we start making up the stories. Oh, that, and then that's going to happen, and then that's going to lead to that, and then that, and then I'm going to die. It's like we just go down this crazy path of like story. We're making up stories. We have no idea. And what if you were always meant to be there for your mom? What if that's exactly your path? What if that is that was not your plan, but that was your plan. You are walking in your own footsteps. That was always the plan for you. There are lessons there, deep, deep lessons on empathy and caring and connection and support and so much. You don't even know how this moment of time is going to serve you in 5 years or 10 years. And this is when hard things happen. I say to myself, there's value in this. There's value in this. I just have to keep saying that to myself, even though I may not know what that value is forever, for 5 years, for until tomorrow, whatever it is. And I just surrender. That is the word, surrender. You need to do it in a psychedelic journey. It's hard to do. Surrender to life. And it doesn't mean not having a plan. It doesn't mean just giving up or not having some kind of goals or just whatever today brings. But it is really being open to also whatever today brings, because you just don't know. And so it's this balance. This is the word I have written on my closet door 3 times. Balance, balance, balance. So what does that mean for us? It's the light and the dark. It's walking that fine line. It's being able to see the good in the darkness and in the light. We can't always be in one, or else we don't even know or appreciate the other. So there is, and I'm a Libra, so I guess that's probably why I like balance so much. But
I'm also a Libra.
Libra
Love
sisters.
this.
No, I love
Yes.
that so much, and I wanted to share really quickly. You have given an acronym for fear. You've given an acronym for love, and I think that's so funny because they're on what you would consider like dual, like opposite ends of the spectrum. But at the same time, it also seeds us back to the beingness of now and being present.
yeah.
And I wanted to ask, what do you feel like the plant medicines are trying to teach humanity? Because I know you and I have spoken about this a little bit more in depth personally, but I would love for you to share that with everyone listening that will view this now and later in line. Like, what do you feel the plants are trying to teach us? And do you feel like it's one main message, or is it individual to each being?
Okay, so I think Eva
Yeah.
thinks that this is the Earth's way of saying, humans, do you want to heal? Here you go. Do you want to evolve? Here you go. We are so far off the mark. I mean, so far off the mark as a collective from our greatest potential. I don't even know what that is, our greatest potential. But when you think about only using 10% of your brain and on a psychedelic like psilocybin, magic mushrooms, your brain is lit up. I have had telepathic experiences. I have been with friends where we have stepped into other dimensions. I don't even know how to explain it. Things that are like, like things that you're just like, what the heck? Where it's literally like coming out of the matrix. You
Yes.
see things and you experience things on such a real level. I've used a psychedelic 5-MeO DMT, otherwise known as Bufo, and it is one of the strongest psychedelics, a 20-minute journey. And I'm telling you what, the veil just drops. And I could see the spirit world and this world in co-creation and harmony together.
Wow.
So, and it felt more real than this life,
Yes.
than what we're doing here. So I don't know what that is. That could just be, this is my brain on this medicine and this is what it's making up, or it could be real. So either way, at the very basic level, the very basic, these medicines are here to help us heal and come home to our wholeness. Okay, so first and foremost, if you've got layers of trauma, PTSD, things going on in the brain, psilocybin heals the brain. Study after study, I'd be really interested to know, Soul, what this could do for your mom. Like, honest to goodness, it heals the brain. Go Google psilocybin, dementia. There's studies out there. It heals the brain. So I think the earth is asking us first to come home to ourselves, to heal, to remember that we are love, that we are divine, that we are whole. There's nothing wrong with us, that we are doing the best we can with what we know and who we are. And then I think they're saying, do you want to know what else is possible? Are you ready for what's next? And I think there's the healing, and then there is this propulsion into, I don't know, godlike. I don't even know how else to explain it. Divinity. I think there's so much more that we can do with our astral bodies that I can't even comprehend. Things that are happening in our dreams, the way we're able to connect to that spirit world around us, the way we're able to see through time and space, remote viewing, all of these abilities that we think are only for a select few, or I think we're all meant for these gifts, these super power gifts. When we see Marvel movies and we think, is that possible? I think, yes, it's possible. I think we can part the seas. I think we can move mountains. I think all this matter is only physical because we believe it is. I wouldn't be surprised that we have abilities that are so far beyond what we are capable of doing, and these medicines are helping us to start to understand that. But before we can even get to that, we have to heal. We have to heal, because the fear, the trauma, it's all part of, gosh, the word trap wants to come into my mind, like
Yeah.
the bondage,
Yeah.
the thing that, like, maybe we're here to break through. Maybe that is part of the experiment. Maybe that is part of, like, let's see how resourceful they are. They can climb El Capitan with their bare hands and run a triathlon at 85. Let's see if they can figure out this mind thing and this heart thing and this coherence between the two and connection with one another. Can they realize that they're not different? That a mom in China or South Dakota or Africa all want the same things. that we all want human connection. We don't want war. We want foods that actually fuel our bodies, and school systems that actually educate and bring out the best in us, and political systems that actually like build communities up and solve the problems that are out there. Like, what is possible for this planet and for humanity, I think is beyond what we can even comprehend right now, if we can just get through the layers of this matrix, which are so smart. A plus for whoever designed it, created it. It's good. It's really good.
It's tricky,
I give it props.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm over it. I'm over being tipped into the darkness.
Yeah.
Like, it's time for us to come into the light.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that path is. I'm just trying to do my part. And if everyone else just does their part, their piece of the puzzle, we don't have to be I don't have to think about who's solving this problem out there. I will trust that the universe will open that person's heart and mind, that they will listen to those promptings. They'll listen to that intuition. Their path will unfold. And we just need to do our own part, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Everything you're saying is just, it's so profound and it's so true. And, what you're sharing about your experiences and like what you've seen, it's so affirming because like you're saying, like, is it real? And then also it's like, I can't help but just know that it is real. Like, even just, my psychic gifts, like me and Pat have had experiences where it's like, we know nothing about this person and yet we know everything about them. And it's like, I just have to believe that there is something so profound about that. And what you were sharing about, the plant medicine and how it's really just like this surrender. I remember when I was like really starting to get into the journey, like it was really starting to hit me, and I was like, here we go, there was a voice in my head. It was a song actually, but it was these two words that kept repeating over and over, and it was no fear, no fear. And I just kept hearing that, and I was like, no fear. I'm like, where is this voice coming from? It's not actually real, but it was so real in that moment, and I just knew that there was like something communicating to me, like, you have nothing to be afraid of. And I remember literally being shown my soul leaving my body and being like, if you were dead right now, would you be angry? And I remember saying, no, I'm not angry because I understand I'm still alive. And it was so strange to experience that, but it was so peaceful. And it's so funny because it's like before that experience, I feared death, and I don't fear death anymore. I think my biggest fear is just not accomplishing what I want to accomplish with my life. Like, that's my biggest fear. It's not even dying. It's just like, did I come here to do what I was supposed to do? And you're talking about this expansiveness that you receive through plant medicine. And I think that's so beautiful because you're right. It is so expansive. And I know you also mentioned DMT. And I've heard so many stories, like so many stories. I've heard the most angelic experiences and I've heard the most traumatic experiences. And so I'm curious if you yourself have witnessed people have really traumatic experiences with plant medicine. And I know that that's something that may hinder a lot of people from taking that journey or taking that step. And I'm curious if you have any wisdom or anything you'd like to share about those fears.
Yes. Okay. First, I want to say to your point of your fear of, am I accomplishing everything I'm here to accomplish? I think if you're trusting the process, even if it ended today, you've left your mark. You've done it. Maybe it's the one person that you were supposed to smile at. Maybe that was your entire purpose, was that one person needed you to look them in the eye and smile and say hi today. Don't discount those tiny moments. We put weight on, am I known? Is it money? Is it some legacy that in 100 years someone will know my name? Like, why? What if it's something so simple? Like that flower, that butterfly, that little piece of life. It has such a significance. So that's part of the surrendering too. Also for you, just surrendering to what is your deepest heart's desires. Be in the pursuit of that. And when that moment comes for you, just know it's all divine and you did it. You left your mark. You did that thing. And maybe and it was all these little tiny moments that are little ripples going out now into the world that you will see in at some point this big connected web and how these ripples that you put into the world. Okay, now to the medicine. There are no bad journeys. There are no bad journeys. The medicine is so incredibly intelligent. It is smart. It knows what you need. It looks at you at that exact moment and says, what does this human need to forgive, to move on, to have peace, to let go of? What lesson do they need? So what I have experienced is those who have a lot of trauma or a really big ego have a more difficult time surrendering to the process. And I've had, as an example, I had a woman who works at a children's hospital as a respiratory therapist on a life flight team over 20 years. They've seen a lot of children pass and a lot of mourning parents. That's a lot for a human to hold. I don't think we're meant to see that much death and not have really good, strong outlets or a really strong belief system. That's a lot. You have to be so strong to hold space for that. So when you go into a plant medicine journey and you're seeing a spiral of death, you have to understand that you're putting yourself in what would be like a war zone. And so that journey is going to be more challenging because there's so many layers. And especially when you feel regret around those things. I could have done this better. I should have saved this kid. What if I made this choice? And you don't just surrender to the whole journey that everything is in divine timing. I did the best I could with what I knew. When there's that resistance to anything, just like in life, when you resist your flow, life feels hard. It's the same thing in a journey. When you are resisting where the medicine wants you to just be curious. It wants you just to be the observer. Be curious. Why are you showing me this? Why is this coming up? What do I need to let go of? Why am I seeing the spiral of death? Why am I feeling this way? And also not even having to answer those questions. Just saying like, okay, there you are. I see you. I'll ponder you in 2 weeks during integration. But I don't know why you're coming up, but you're coming up. Okay. So the more trauma that someone has, the more challenging it can be for them to surrender into that experience. But there isn't one person who I have taken through a journey who has said, well, that wasn't worth it. Even in the most challenging of journeys, they will look back and they will say, I get it. That was worth it. I'm so glad I did it. It's not about just jumping from medicine to medicine. It isn't about rushing this process. I really believe that it's just like how HIV and AIDS came up in my life. Like I just kept hearing about it. You will keep hearing about it. Maybe a particular one that keeps rising up on the news. A friend talks about it. You see a book. It's like, especially 3 times or something about 3. When someone says, you're the 3rd person who told me about that. Well, maybe that's the universe's way of saying, look into this. Take a journey. See how this can help you. And so there can be challenging journeys. I'll tell you what, 5-MeO DMT, that takeoff, it's rough. It can be really, really rough. It is like shooting you through a cannon. And I was afraid to do it again for a year. And I had the best experience once I came out on the other side. But I'm still human and I still have fears. And even though I know, and even though I've seen all these people go on beautiful journeys and challenging journeys, there's something about being courageous. Everything tips at courage. So when you can say, this might be hard, but it's okay, I'm going to do it anyway. And stepping into the courage, whether it's a physical activity or stepping into a dream or starting a podcast or stepping into your life mission, when we're courageous with ourselves, we tip into the scale of love and openness and wholeness. And I think that's what the medicine is trying to help us do a little bit more is come home to ourselves. So honestly, there are no bad journeys. And that's why it's so important to have someone who can hold space for you. So if you're going through it, they are right there. Like, I got you. I'm at baseline. You know, there's someone there who's helping you breathe. You know, this will end in 6 hours or 2 hours or 20 minutes. As Bufo is only 20 minutes long. You can get through it.
That's so powerful. And I would love for you to speak more too, because I know for your retreats that you run, you have a team of badass women that help you, or people that you even feel called to volunteer because you took them through a journey and they're like, I want to give back, like I want to assist. So, yeah, tell people more about that and integration and how important that is. Because I know it's one thing to do the experience yourself, but you're like, I've received this medicine and I continue to be open to this, but I want to give it to the world as well.
Yes, so I think there's certain people who feel really called to be in this space, especially right now. There was a whole movement in the 60s, lots and lots of research. And I think one of those systems, the government, was like, oh no, we can't have humanity waking up. We can't have this collective consciousness. We can't have people not wanting to go to war and wanting to work together and believing in love. So I know, let's scare everyone. Let's tell them all they're going to have, this is your brain on drugs. And let's perpetuate this out, this message, this propaganda that there is no medical benefits to it. So we're almost in this like rekindling of this movement at the moment. And there are souls who are so ready to be sitters, to help people sit with this medicine. Psilocybin in particular is really not that hard to use. The earth is making it so easy. You cannot become addicted. You cannot take too much. You won't want to do this journey over and over again. As you know, it's work.
It is.
It's beautiful. It's work. And if you're taking it seriously and you have an intention, this is something that you feel called to. You go in. It's sacred. And whatever your ceremony looks like, whether it's at home with your best friend or your partner or someone is there sitting with you. So having these women who say, can I come back and help? Can I be a part of it? I can tell, just probably how you have your gifts, I can tell, oh, this person can hold space. They can sit with whatever someone's going through. It's not about guiding them, and there's no talk therapy involved in it. It's really about validating where someone is and simply just holding space, letting them cry, handing them a Kleenex, giving them water, knowing when to touch them and when not to. It's really listening to your intuition in those moments and saying, okay, universe, what does this person need from me? How can I serve them right now? Do I need to be in this space? Do I need to let them just go through it? Do I need to stand back? Do I lean in? Because a lot of times they don't know what they need. A lot of people will say, I don't know. I need you to make the decision for me. I don't know. And then I'll say, let's go outside. Let's go get some fresh air. And they'll say, oh, this is exactly what I needed. You knew what I needed. You knew I needed this fresh air. So having someone who's really in touch with that intuition and really coming from a heart service place, really like, this is not about me. This is about this human evolving. They're trusting me with their soul, with their essence. How can I serve them? So I think when you go in with that intention, I don't want to say you can't mess it up, because maybe there's someone who would disagree with that. But I honestly believe that the universe is working in your favor. Do a little bit of research, understand the medicine, have your own experience, and I think you can hold space. And no two journeys are the same. There is no textbook on this is how it's going to go. And if anyone tells you that there is, it's not true. I've seen so many journeys because we are such individual blueprints, our soul already. And then our traumas, the stuff that we bring in, the stuff we haven't worked through is so individualized. I have no idea what's going on in someone's mind. I just know, I have people who I think, oh my gosh, they are going through it. And afterwards, I mean, they're crying and I'm just thinking, oh, I hope they don't hate me tomorrow. And then the next day they're like, that was amazing. And I'm like, It
Okay.
was? Because, girl, I was just thinking, Lord, I can't believe this is where you brought me right now. Okay. All right. I'm trusting the process. And it's like the universe never gave me more than I could handle.
Mm.
The first few retreats were really easy. I don't, it's just how it worked out. I thought I'm not even doing anything. I'm checking emails. Like the people are, they're all good. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine and I said, are they all going to be this easy? I thought holding space was going to be harder. And then sure enough, rumble, rumble, rumble. And some girl's like, did I pay for this? Did I choose into this? And I'm thinking, oh, here we
Yeah.
go. Here we go. So they've gotten more, different,
Yeah.
challenging in different ways, stretching me in different ways. And now I can honestly say there isn't anyone that I don't think I can sit with. I mean, men who are in the thick of it, who look at me and say, how do you know I won't hurt you? How do you know? And I put my hand on their heart and I lean in even more and I say, because you are a good man. You are a good person. And it's they, you can, the trips that the person on the medicine, your emotions, everything, your senses, everything is heightened, your gifts, everything. So if the person on the other end is unsure or hesitant, you can pick up on that. And then you're going to feel unsafe because the other person doesn't feel like they can do it. But how else do you start?
Yeah.
You have to just, if this is a space you feel called to, you start with your sister, you start with your best friend, you start sitting with someone who you trust and who trusts you before you just start offering it to the world. That's what I did. I said to my sister first, can I take you on a journey? I think I need to be a medicine woman. Then I started working with the women that I was coaching. I've already been working with them for a year. And I thought, let me see if this helps. And so the more you do it, the more experience you get. And there's no other way to learn besides doing it. Okay, was there another question in that, or did I answer
No,
what you had
you
asked?
answered all of it. And I think, the piece on integration as well. Like what you've seen
Okay.
in integration, how, like, why it's so important. Because I know I shared with you when I had a hero dose of mushrooms, that was something that was like jarring for me because I had to integrate by myself because all of my friends were scattered across the US. And I remember I had trouble eating. I didn't even feel the sensation to eat. I was barely sleeping. I was like, oh my gosh, everything matters and nothing matters. Who am I? None of this matters. Oh my God. And so with your programs, like I know that that's something you take very seriously and you have follow-ups with people that do this. And yeah, I just would love for you to
Yeah.
speak more on integration, how important that is and what you've noticed.
Yes. So your point to this is all important and nothing's important, I've had so many people say that exact
Yeah,
thing. So it's very normal for that to be how you
like a
feel
key piece.
afterwards. And
Yeah.
when you have attached to that identity that you are this human, you are this physical body, this is who you are, and now all of a sudden that whole paradigm shifts, there is a big period of integration that happens. And honestly, the retreats or any psychedelic experience is just opening a door. The ceremony really begins now, after the experience. This is really when the work begins. This integration piece is so important. So if you are going to go on a journey, having an integration coach, having a therapist who understands psychedelics or at least wants to, having a best friend, having someone in your life that you can say, this is how I'm feeling, and they can, again, hold space for it. It's not about trying to figure it out for you. You will figure it out. Life will start to unfold. It's just the trusting, and it's already unfolding, right? It's not even starting to unfold. It's just being able to trust. I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to understand everything that happened in my journey. I just need to take it one day at a time. It's okay that I'm confused. It's okay that I might feel even more lost than I was prior to going in. Because really, what the heck are we doing here? Like, you might think that, but when you embody that message, when you are like, what is this about and how do we do it better? It really can become this very consuming thing for you. And so having that support is so, so important. So we do integration calls afterwards. I have tons of different therapists, different coaches that people can choose to work with. Integration is not my specialty. It's not my genius zone. I can do it, but my genius zone is more in the journeys, more in the retreats. How do you stack this journey with other healing modalities to really best support the journey in and of itself, so people don't feel sick, so people can surrender? So sometimes it's the breath work. It's not even the journey that people have that profound shamanic experience. It's not even the medicine. You don't even have to put anything in your body to get to these states. How do you integrate in breath work? How do you integrate in the meditation? What dropped in for you? It's all the same thing. It's having that kind of support, that community. So having one-on-one support's really good. Having community support is also really good. Having a little bit more clarity around who are you and what do you want? What do you want your life to look like in 6 months? And being open to having it change. What do you want your life to look like in a year? If you're being really honest with yourself, if you're saying, I don't care what anyone else thinks, I don't care about anything I've ever learned or been taught, what is my ideal week? What does that look like? How much time am I spending working? How much time whatever working looks like for you, how much time am I spending on my emotional care? How much time am I spending with friends? What am I building? What interests am I building? What do I just want to learn more about? And I think that's really the living in flow. That's finding the balance with everything. That's where this medicine wants you to come back to. But when you are in a conditioned program that says, I need to work 9 to 5, this is who I am, this is my identity, and everything gets shaken up in a journey, and you come out and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not even attaching to any of those things, but I sort of am and I'm sort of not, and that's normal. Very, very normal. So be kind to yourself. Go on to a meetup. Where is there a psychedelic integration group? Someone is hosting it, probably within an hour from you, if not closer. There's some that are online. There's a tab on my flowliferetreat.com website that says integration. There's questions that you can ask yourself. You can journal around. There's different resources you can get involved in. But integration's like 80% of it. 20% is the journey. It kind of just cracks you open. And then now what? Now you got to do something with this new way of being a human, because we're not used to being whole. And this medicine helps you come back to wholeness. And then it's, well, what do I do with that now? Who am I? How do I want to show up in the world? And being kind to yourself, as you always say, Pat, be kind to yourself. Have grace for yourself as you're figuring out how to do this.
Pat does always say that, and it's always something that brings me back to just such a place of peace. It's like, oh my God, yeah, like I am doing my best. Like, yeah, this is great. And I love that you're talking about also, like you're talking about integration, how important it is, and honoring your genius as well, which I think is so beautiful, because sometimes we feel like we have to fill all of the shoes, and that's really not where our power is. And there's so much beauty in community and building a team. And like, you have this beautiful mission now, and you also recognize that everyone is coming together and like offering their own unique talents and gifts to create this like bigger container where people really get to find themselves. And as like we're going through this podcast episode, we're talking about integration. And honestly, I feel like everyone needs to integrate after listening to this episode, because I feel like your voice has like these codes in it, because it's like there's been so many times you're talking, I'm like about to bawl my eyes out crying, and I'm like, okay, just gotta keep breathing. It's been a roller coaster. And it is so beautiful just to like really sit, and even if I don't consciously like understand everything that you're saying, it's like I know that I understand. I know like I'm receiving it. And to our listeners who are like maybe listening to this right now and feeling the waves of emotion, like I just want to validate that, because I've been like feeling that. Like you have such a power and such a gift and transformation, yes. And I think there's also just this understanding of yourself that so many people are not taught. And as you're speaking these truths, it's like really pulling me into this like self-reflection of like, wow, like where can I really integrate this wisdom in my own personal life? And even you kind of calling me out a little bit, I'm like, just surrender to the purpose. Like you're already doing it. And I was like, she's so right. Like, man, like, even if it is just like that one person that you change, it's like, who knows how that creates a domino effect in the greater universe that we're all a part of. And yeah, Pat and I were talking yesterday, and she was sharing with me, like, I feel like this episode is just going to be such a deeply spiritual episode. And it really has been. Like, it has really been getting my gears to move and like my body to react in a way that I was not expecting. But it's powerful medicine. And it makes sense because you are a medicine woman. And wow, I'm just sitting here like, holy shit. Where have you been all my life?
Well, see, this is divine timing. Like, this is it. We were meant to meet right now, just like all of your listeners are meant to hear this right now. And if there's only one sentence, one thing, you don't have to, who cares about all of it? What is the thing that rises to the top? What is the thing that when you turn this off and you walk away tomorrow, when someone says, what was that podcast about? What do you remember? That's what's important for you. Like, that's it. That's it. My last acronym, SELF, seeking evolution to live fully. We're here to evolve, to live fully. What does that mean for your soul, your essence, your spirit? We're here that's it. Just evolve. And we can't not evolve. We're evolving. It's whether we're evolving into darkness or into more light. And I, for one, would like to choose more light for all of us.
Me too.
So,
Team light over here.
I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm open to ideas. Who else has ideas out there? How can we do this better? What systems can we create? What can you add today? When that compliment goes through your mind for someone, say it. When that, you're both psychic. You have these things come up for you. You know things about people. Share it. That's not meant for you to keep stored up inside. It's meant for you to share your light, to come out of the darkness, to contribute. What need can you fill in the world that also fills you up?
Yes.
Today, don't even worry about tomorrow. Today, what need can you fill in the world today that might also fill you up? Do that. That's the most loving next step. That's it.
Feel that.
It's simple. Like, being here is simple. We make it so complicated. So complicated. And it doesn't need to be that complicated. And when things come in that are hard, it's like, oh yeah, I see you. I see you, hard thing. Okay, what's the lesson here? How can I evolve through this? What's the value in this? And then just trusting that's part of your story. That's part of the process. And I don't want to be here for too long. I'm okay being here for a minute or two, or I'll go cry in the closet or the shower for a little bit. But then I need to take some deep breaths and go, okay, now what? How do I want to show up? Who do I want to be? And go from there. And be kind to yourself with grace and love along the way. And others. I mean, come on, we have so much judgment around other people. And it's like, when that judgment comes in, when we're triggered by someone else or something else, that's a reflection. That's a mirror for us to look at and say, I'm triggered by that. Okay, what is that saying about me? Where do I need to go in? How does this, what evolution am I needing here? Because there are no triggers in pure love. It's all just love. Everyone is going through it. So that person who's really angry or upset or has totally different views than you, they're going through it. They're doing the best they can with what they know. There's generations of trauma in their lives. There's footsteps they have walked that you couldn't possibly understand. And it's okay. We don't need to. At the end of the day, pain is pain. Suffering is suffering. Love is love. Joy is joy. Fear is fear. We all know these emotions. The story that brings us to knowing and to embodying those feelings are all different. But at the end of the day, the spectrum of human feelings and emotions that we feel, we all can relate. And I think that's where we just need to come to some peace and understanding with someone. Like, we all know jealousy, we all know shame, we all know apathy, right? We also all know joy and nurturing and caring, hopefully. And if we don't know those things, then let us be the example to others out there. When someone is so angry and so in the dark, if you can just be neutral, balance, love, peace, joy, enough that they can see it. Once they see it, you can't unsee it. I think that's a huge piece of psychedelic journeys.
Yes.
Once you see it, you embody it, you know it, you can't unknow it. So like my kids at my camp, when they come to camp and they see love and acceptance, they can't unknow it. They know it exists. If their home life is totally crazy, that's okay, because they know that there is a place where I can be loved and accepted, and they will seek after that. Their heart will seek after that place again. And that's the same thing with journeys. That's why we need to put ourselves in activities that bring us joy. Even if we're not sure, let me go try that pottery class. Let me go into nature, connect with the earth. Let me try that grounding thing. I don't know. What about Reiki? I don't know. Let me go test it. Let me talk to a psychic. Let me see. Does that bring me joy? Does that help? What are the things that it's about? Trying out the different things in life and seeing what resonates with your essence, with your being, with your soul, and helping the others. Like, no one's going to be left behind. Not one person, not 1 ounce. I think we're all going back to one, and then it will all probably disperse out again and have a whole nother adventure journey. So it doesn't matter if I'm on this level of evolution. There's people who are way ahead of me, but there's people who are maybe way behind. I can't not worry about those people. Like, they're coming along. So we're all moving along on our own path, in our own way, having grace for where everyone's at on their journey. It's okay. It's okay that someone maybe doesn't understand where you are or doesn't get what you get. It's part of it. It's all part of it.
I hope that people rewind, because you were just speaking truth. Like, Soul was saying, like, it's making things move within me. Yes, yes. And I will say too, your acronyms, I have to show you this. I don't think I've ever showed you this. I actually painted one of your acronyms, Live Open, Value Everything. And this has shifted my life. I look at it every single day.
You know what? That acronym was one of those moments. Oh, I love you. I was in the thick of it. I might get emotional. Like, the thick of it. Like going through a divorce. Now I'm crying. Okay, hold on.
Whew. Yeah.
And I was driving to the gym, and I was like, universe, if I had 5 minutes to talk to the entire world, if in every language, only 5 minutes, and I had to share something, what would you have me share? And clear as day. And I don't really I'm not like, well, maybe I could be like you, but it doesn't like just come in as easily. Okay. But the word love popped in, and I thought, okay, yeah, I know, love. What about it? Like, it's so cliche. Love. What about love? So I asked back, like, what about love? And that's where the acronym Live Open, Value Everything. First it was everyone, and I went, everyone? And then it went, oh, no, Eva, everything. I'm like, everything? Because that's way more than everyone. That's everything. And I had to really sit with that for a very long time. Like, what does that mean to find value in all of it? Who do I have to be to truly live at that level of love, that being my definition of love? How do I have to perceive the world? What lens do I have to put on? And I tell people, I can walk into my house and I can see chaos, because there's chaos. There's a lot of humans. There's a lot of laundry. There's a lot of dishes. There's just a lot. The noise, there's a lot. But I also can walk into my house and go, I have a house, and I've got these beautiful humans here, and we have clothes, and we have food, and we have these amazing relationships, because both are true. But it's, how do I perceive it? How do I choose? Where's my awareness? How do I choose to see it? Where do I put my focus? Am I looking at all the things that are wrong? Am I looking at all the chaos? There's plenty of chaos in the world that we can focus on. But what if we just said, there it is, and let me focus on the good. Let me just put my awareness on the things I can change. Let me put my awareness on myself and coming home to myself and my own heart. Let me put my awareness onto loving humans. Who triggers me the most? How do I find value in that person? Because when you find value in that person, you're finding value in yourself. So what does that look like for you? What emotion do you not like the least? Are you afraid of fear? Okay, lean into it. Go do something that is going to make you be courageous, because then you have a relationship with it in a whole different way. So challenge yourself in those ways. Look at the things that you think, oh, I don't want to look at that. We have to do it. We have to do our own shadow work. We have to be willing to go to those dark places and just say, there it is. Yep. Yep. There it is. And there's value in it. And I don't have to understand it, maybe not for a lifetime or 2 or 10, but at some point there's value in it. And I'm okay not knowing what that is right now. I'm okay just being here and accepting what is, because there are things that are out of my control. Most things are out of my control. At the end of the day, you can only control you, right? And even then, sometimes the programming, the stuff, you're not even really in control of you. I think we're trying to gain more control of ourselves. Who am I? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
That in of itself is such a big journey. I mean, it's like adding everyone else's stuff on your plate's too much.
Wow. Soul, would you like to say anything? You're good. Okay. I'm telling you, you have changed my life. And I wanted to show you that because I see it every day. Every day. And I'm like, okay, whew, it's a lot. Before we let you go, I wanted you to talk about your podcast as well, because when I said earlier that you are a seeker, you are. You are such a curious being. And you guys, obviously, she's not human. You can clearly see this, okay? But she has a podcast, Ideas to Human Better. And I think that title in and of itself is so what? And the way that you speak sometimes, I'm like, you channel higher entities, higher beings of unconditional love. I feel it, I know it, you are it, you embody it. And yeah, tell people about your podcast, what they expect, connecting with your messages and the light workers that you bring all together on this planet. Yeah, the floor is
Yeah,
yours.
so it's one of those things. I thought, do I write a book? Sure. Let's put that into the world. Do I start a podcast? Okay. Let's try that. Let's put that into the world, right? This is us testing things out, putting things into the world. And when I started Ideas to Human Better, I wanted it to be on my terms. I wasn't like, I'm going to post every Tuesday at 2:00 and I just
Yeah.
thought, to heck with all these systems that say here's a right way and a wrong way of doing it. When I find someone who I think is cool, who I want to interview, who I want to know who they are, where they come from, I'm going to interview them because I want to know, because they fascinate me. I'm really fascinated with what happens to us after our last breath. That's where I thought the whole podcast was going to go originally, interviewing different people around their views of what happens to us after our last breath. And there are several of those interviews out there. But then I started coming across other just really incredibly cool people that have perspectives on life and after that I think are so interesting. And so as those humans come into my awareness, and as I feel moved, like you, I have a whole interview with you on there that people can go check out, because you're this human who's come into my life, who I value your gift so much. There are so many things that you say that I'm like, you'll send me the reading on Monday and I'm like, check, 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 because you're literally saying things that day were already in effect. I'm like, she already knows those 3 things. That's done already. That's happening. So many things. And really, for me, it's very validating. Like, that's what I think a lot of what your gift is. It's helping to, for me at least, to really validate what I already know, but sometimes we don't trust in ourselves. And so this podcast is that. It's who are the humans out there that really fascinate me and bring me joy and that I want to know more about. Like, who are they? What's their story? I often don't read. I'm not a very good reader, even though I have 2 books. I like to learn about people.
Yes.
So if there's an author out there, I want to go listen to 5 podcasts of them because I want to know who they are. Like, who's the soul inside there? What are your beliefs? What is your story? I could go read your book, but that's very well crafted and that's had an editor and all the things. I just want to know you raw. And that's what I feel like this podcast brings, is just really a rawness of people with really cool ideas.
Yes. No,
And I'm open. If you're out there, you have a cool
I'm
idea,
telling you,
hit me
it
up.
is her
Do it.
podcast, the people on there, their stories, like everything. She recently had a man talk about the veil in the Matrix, and I was like, I have to watch this twice because there's so much information, and it's just so beyond. Like, yes, I do psychic work every single day, right? But even that conversation, both of you were channeling and talking about stuff that I'm like, this is true, this is true. Oh my God. And it's like you may know it in your logic mind, but to actually sit it in the soul is a whole different thing. And so your podcast, I'm telling you, yes, I was on it. I was an honored guest, and I spoke about things that I've never publicly said before, even on our own podcast. And so there's just some sort of magic that you're able to like get from people. And it's just a beautiful gift that you have. So thank you for being here. I just
Thanks.
wanted to say too,
Yeah.
how can people connect with you? I know you have other retreats happening this year. I'm so excited for you. It feels like things are just exploding, and I want people to connect with you.
Yeah. I'm down for the unfolding. People say, like, where are you going to be in 6 months? I'm like, I have no idea. I just know I have a retreat in a week. I can tell you that for sure. People are booked. There's a house reserved. Like, we're doing it. But 6 months from now, who knows? Who knows, right? It's that unfolding and that trusting that the people will come in and that things are moving. So for now, the best way to find me, Instagram is my favorite platform. It's Miss MS Eva Payne, Payne. My retreat is flowliferetreat.com, or evapayne.com has information also. And then Ideas to Human Better on YouTube. I'm not as good with putting it up on Apple and Spotify. Again, it's just like more work that I just don't really want to do. And so I just do like what brings me joy. What brings me joy is putting it on YouTube. And so I think the right people will find it. There it is. And if it's meant for you, it'll come into your awareness, and it's out of my hands at that point. I don't have to try so hard. I don't have to push. Just allow, like the river flowing. Just be like the river.
Wow.
Thank you so much. This was so beautiful, and I'm just so excited for everyone to get the chance to listen to this and soak in everything that you have said today. So, thank you for shining your light and for listening to that call and like really just stepping forward into your power. And yeah, that's all I can say.
And Soul, thank you. Thank you for doing this
My
work
heart.
and for connecting with Pat and for being on this mission, and for trusting the process, like trusting your own unfolding. There are big, big things ahead for this younger generation coming forth. You have big challenges, but it is divine. And I believe that we are here to create a new earth, to create a new way. We will look back and say, those were dark ages. That was like round 2 of the dark ages. We don't even know we're in it. Well, I know we're in it. You know we're in it. But a lot of people don't even know. It's not like the plague where everyone's dying around you. It's their spirit and their souls that are dying, right? Or that are like, that's dimming. We can't kill it, but like dying and shrinking up. And, you're part of that light and helping people come home to themselves by just being yourself. So thank you so much for listening to your heart, for serving in this world, whether it's your mom's soul at this time, being there for her, just trusting this is exactly where you're meant to be. It's exactly where you're meant to be. And Pat, for being in my life, and for being a guide, and for so many, and for being a best friend to Soul. Like, you two are powerhouses together. I can't wait to see what you create. And it's an honor for me to be in your life and for us all to be connected. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And for all the listeners, for sticking around for an hour listening to all of this. I appreciate it. It means the world to me. And more.
Oh, I love you so much. I adore you both. Like, this has been a whirlwind. I'm like, I've laughed, I've cried. I'm like, yep, that's true. So much. Thank you. Like, oh my gosh. You guys, thank you for staying with us this episode of Divinely Guided. There's going to be so much more ahead. And wherever you're at right now in this moment, give yourself just a little bit more kindness. We love you. We'll see you next time. Bye. If you resonated with this topic today and received value from this episode, we would love for you to leave us a 5-star review on Spotify or any listening platform you're connecting with. We also invite you to connect with us on Instagram at Divinely Guided Podcast.
We are so looking forward to the next episode with you all. Always remember that here we believe no mission is too big. You are your own guru. Go out into the world today and make a difference. And be sure to stay tuned into Divinely Guided Podcasts, and we will see you next time.